Hello and welcome to Celebrating You. And today I'm so excited to introduce to you photographer, business buddy and mumpreneur manager Kate Henwood. A very warm welcome to you, Kate.
Thank you, it's lovely to be here.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you, and I would love to know what your journey has been to be doing what you're doing today, because you do quite a few things.
Absolutely. And I suppose my journey really goes back to 2002 when I decided that following the birth of my son, I didn't particularly want to go back into the retail and corporate world where I'd been. I was in retail banking for 15 years and decided that having just had a baby, I didn't really want to be putting him into nursery and not seeing him for 12 hours a day and going back to sitting in an office with loads of other people and doing a job that was okay but didn't actually light me up. So at that point I decided, no, I'm going to do my own thing, and I became a childminder. And I did that for 10 years and looked after quite a few children, never more than 3 at a time, including my own son, and it kind of worked. It wasn't brilliant, but it was better than putting him in nursery. So that was my foray into being self-employed. It was that juggle of, yeah, do I find a job that will pay me for the hours that he's at school or he's at nursery, and will it compensate me for school holidays and what have you. So in 2011, my husband was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, which meant that he was then at home all the time, which was a big change for us. Obviously, he wasn't well, he was undergoing treatment, there was all sorts of things that we had to juggle. And he died in June 2012 when my son had just turned 10. I was fortunate at that point. I was working with a lovely family with their 2 children, and they couldn't have been the more perfect family to work with. Nothing was too much trouble. If I needed to take him to a hospital appointment, they'd find an alternative, so I didn't have to worry, and they were just so understanding. It was brilliant. So come kind of August, September of 2012, and I was thinking, well, I need to be finding some sort of employment that actually works for me as at that point then, a single parent. I was in a fortunate position that I wasn't dependent on the income that it would bring, but I was needing that social interaction with people and normality, and proving to myself that having had 10 years out of corporate, that I could still pull it off, that I was still worthy, I guess, and capable of holding down a normal job. And I applied for and got a position at a private hospital in Hove that was just opening, and loved it. It was great just being back doing normal stuff and being part of a team, being appreciated, valued, and it worked. And that worked right the way through until about March or April of the following year. The job entailed me, there was some flexibility in the job, in that I could make sure that I was at home for one end of the day or the other, so that I could either take Ollie to school or pick him up. I couldn't do both. And I remember him coming up to me one day, must have been March or April time, and saying to me, "Mummy, who's going to walk me to school on my birthday?" And that was kind of a pivotal moment for me, that actually I need to be there for you. You are my priority. You are the only thing right here, right now, that matters. And if you need me to walk you to school on your birthday, then that's what I need to do. And that started a chain of events that I looked at and thought, hang on a minute, there's parents' evenings, there's activities that go on at school, there's sports day. All of these things you need me to be there for. So I went into work the following day with my letter of resignation and handed it in and just said, my son needs me more than you do. And they turned around and went, right, okay. How quickly do you need to be released from your contract? And I went, it's not an urgent thing. I said, it's just, I need to hand in my notice because I need to be there for him. And I worked my notice. We found a replacement. I trained her up and she's still there. I still speak to her. She's in a completely different role, but she's still there and she's been absolutely brilliant. And so I bumbled around in a kind of a grief bubble, putting one foot in front of the other, kind of being a mum for about 4 or 5 months. We enjoyed summer holidays. We did all sorts of stuff that I wouldn't have had the opportunity to do had I been working. And we kind of tried to put life back together again and create a new normal. And there were times when we both fell over and kind of went, can't do this. And there were other times that we went, yeah, we've got this sorted. And I was working with, I went through a process where I had to rediscover who I was, because I'd spent 15 years in retail banking, 10 years as a childminder. In that time, I'd become a wife, a mother. I'd nursed my husband through terminal cancer. I didn't know who Kate was. I'd lost Kate. This was my chance to kind of rediscover and reinvent and do it my way. And I was working with a personal stylist and kind of getting my mojo back. And she discovered that I was very organised and could I help her with her business. So I went in and I sorted out some marketing stuff for her, contacted customers, did a bit of telemarketing. And I was working with her and also doing some fundraising for our local hospice, because they'd been absolutely amazing when Bruce was ill. And we, group of friends, set about doing this fundraising, and we did a Calendar Girls style calendar for 2013. So that was, there were considerably bigger buns were involved in the making of that, and balloons and banners and goodness knows what. It was amazing. We got loads of people involved, and we raised just under £2,500 for the hospice. And it was promoting that calendar that got me into Worthing MNC. I went along with the stylist that I was working with, who was a member at that point, to promote this calendar. And I walked into this room of 40 odd women at that point. We didn't have any male members at that point. I walked into this meeting and there were all of these women all talking to each other, all very professional but all very approachable, and talk about being out of my depth completely. And I was thinking, oh my God, I could never do that. I could never do that. So anyway, at that point I had no business, so I had no reason to be there. And I was talking to a couple of people and kind of networking and wanting to I just wanted the floor to open up and I just wanted to hide because it was so not me. And I got chatting to a couple of people and it was, there was something that they wanted to do that was admin based. And I went, oh, well, if you do this, this and this. And they went, oh, well, could you do it? Well, yeah. So yeah, did some work for a couple of people, and from there my business was born. So Sussex Admin Solutions was born, and I joined as a member, went along to some meetings, still feeling really out of my depth and thinking I can never do this 1 minute pitch business. Yeah, it's just impossible. Nobody can do it. And stuck with it and started going to a couple of other meetings, and was still thinking, oh, this is just short term. And I kind of got a bit hooked, and started going all over the place. And then we, fast forward, I was asked to become a partner in this particular company that I was working for, and that was lovely. And everything was going swimmingly until February of 2015. So 28 months after my husband died, I discovered a lump in my left boob. Further investigations found that yes, it was cancerous. Not only was it quite a complicated cancer, it had already spread to my bones, which meant that for the second time in his 12 years, I had to tell my son that there was another cancer diagnosis in the family. Being able to turn around to your 12-year-old and say, well, you know, yeah, daddy had cancer and he died. Now mummy's got cancer. And no, she is not going to die. This is not an option. To lose one parent is awful. To lose two is just careless. It's not going to happen. And yes, I'm going to fight it. Yes, I'm going to beat it. And that's just how it is. This is the treatment regime. This is what we're doing. This is what's going to happen. And he went, okay, what's for tea? 12-year-old boy, he was hungry. And so 2015 was kind of pretty much taken up with chemotherapy, radiotherapy, major surgery, and a trip to Miami that was life-changing. So I went to Miami with my business partner to work with a business coach, Fabian Fredrickson, who I'd been following for some considerable time. And she was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. We spent 3 days working through a program where there were these light bulb moments going off left, right, and centre. And at that point, it didn't quite resonate with me because the business that I was involved with wasn't mine. It wasn't my baby. It was my business partner's baby. And I could support what she wanted to do, but it wasn't mine. So we went back. We had a second trip to Miami. No, to New York. Must have been the following February. Because we'd signed up on one of her programs and it was fabulous. And she set us a challenge at this particular mastermind class. And the challenge was that in the next 90 days before we went back for the next trip or before the next seminar, she wanted us to write a book. And it was very specific. It was, don't write a woolly book that covers 101 things that everybody else has already covered. Find your niche and write your book. I wrote my book. So my book is called What Doesn't Kill You Makes You Stronger. And that was my blog right the way through my treatment. So every bit of my story, every hospital appointment, every chemo treatment, I documented when I was on treatment because it got it out of my head and it was just so cathartic for me. And it also meant that I didn't have to keep explaining to people how I was, because you get the phone calls, how are you? And it's exhausting. So I have a page on Facebook, it's called Kate Can Do This. And it's my diary, it's my journal from day one of diagnosis. It still gets updated. At its peak, I had 5,500 people following every post that I put up. And it's helped an awful lot of people. My aim was that if it helped one person to deal with a cancer diagnosis or to know how to handle, work with, deal with somebody that they know and love going through treatment, if it made 1 ounce of that any easier, then my job was done. And I've had letters, emails, messages from so many people saying that really helped me, or when you said this, it resonated with me completely. So my book was kind of the culmination of that. It was the end of the first year, I suppose, of my diagnosis, because with a stage 4 diagnosis, it never goes away. You can never say that it's gone. I'm in a very fortunate position that because I've had amazing treatment and an amazing reaction to the treatment, my cancer diagnosis is in remission, and it has been for 5 years. That could change tomorrow. Who knows? I am still on treatment every 3 weeks. And thanks to that treatment, I'm able to do what I can do now. And my book was available, well, it still is available on Amazon. It's available as a Kindle download. And it's kind of, it's just my diary. It's just my take on it all. And it just is. And people say to me, oh, are you going to write another one? No, been there, done that. I don't need to write another one. Everything that I've written is all online. And I, every so often I go into some deep philosophical thought and put something out there, and people just go, where do you get that inspiration from? Well, it's gut, it's listening to my heart and just putting it on paper. And so that diagnosis and that treatment and that recovery made me stop. It made me stop and think. It made me stop and process and look at what I was doing, how I was doing it, why I was doing it, and was it what I wanted to do? And at that point, yes, it was what I wanted to do, but I had other things that sparked me up even more, and that's where my photography business was born from. I've taken photos since Ollie was, well, I had my first digital camera the Christmas after he was born, so he'd have been about 6 months old. And it's always been a hobby. And I used my camera when I was on chemo. I used to walk down to the beach and go and take some photos just of the shoreline or the stones or the waves or whatever. It was just it was my go-to happy place, or my go-to reflective place, whatever it was, whatever I needed at that point, my photography seemed to do it for me. And I'm one of those people, I absolutely hate having my photo taken. Absolutely loathe and detest it. And so when people say to me, oh, you won't get a good photo of me, that's my challenge, because it's a case of bring it on. Okay, let me change that for you. And 9 times out of 10, it works. And I kind of focus in on the little details that other people don't see. So my photography is very candid. It's very fly on the wall. And I like to capture the atmosphere and the emotion of an event rather than kind of whatever's going on in the big group over there. That's not what I'm interested in. I'm interested in the 2-year-old that's lying under the table playing with a car, because that's where I'd be out of choice. So my photography has been a journey in itself. It's definitely been a journey of discovery. It's all self-taught, and I have a real difficulty with accepting that my photography is good enough, and a lot of that comes from an inbuilt denial that what I do is enough. It goes back a long way. I know where it goes back to, and that's something that I've worked on and worked on and worked on and will continue to work on for the rest of my life, because it's not going to go away easily. But I do know that it's enough. I just have to remind myself on a very regular basis. And I'm also now less hesitant at going, do you know what? I'm going to change what I do. Something else will light me up in a different way, and grab my attention. And recently I was working alongside the lovely Heather Barry from Harry's Coffee, as her PA, trying to keep her life in order, which is a job and a half. And she invested in some training for the 4 of us that worked together. She did a Gallup Strengths Finder analysis, and that came out that, you know, my strengths lie in organisation, in communication, and getting people doing what they're supposed to be doing. And it was something that I knew that that's what I was good at, but I hadn't got anything tangible that I could say, well, I've got enough of that to be able to run a business. Again, it came back to, am I good enough? And this is just that recurring theme. And I put in place that night some plans that I'd had ticking over for a while, that I can be there to handhold, to support, to encourage, to be accountable for other businesses. Because as a sole trader, it is so difficult to self-motivate and keep yourself accountable and actually get stuff done. And I can do that for other people. And so Kate, the Friendly Business Buddy, was born, because I know how it feels. I know how difficult it is to motivate yourself to, you know, do your accounts, or to do your marketing, to schedule your posts. You know, there's a sock drawer that is far more interesting that needs to be tidied, you know. But actually, if you post you do your scheduled posts, you don't have to think about them for another week or another month. They're done, sorted. And how long's it taken you? Not that long. But for somebody to be accountable to me and go, have you done those posts? Makes all the difference in the world. And so I ran a 28-day challenge for my 2 MNC groups back in February. And Mumpreneurs Networking Club kind of got hold of it, saw what I was doing, and said, you know, do you want to promote this out to the other groups? Which I did. And I had about 50 people who initially signed up to take part. But I had a core of 6 who actually saw the challenge through from day 1 to day 28. And my challenge was very, very simple. It was, find one thing in your business that you want to either implement, change, or get rid of. I don't care what it is. Decide what you want to do, decide how you want it to be, and make it happen. And all 6 of those people who started the course completed it, achieved what they wanted to do and more, and came away from it knowing that they could make a difference in 28 days. And so that was kind of a warm-up for Friendly Business Buddy. And it was supposed to launch before we went into lockdown. And then lockdown happened, and everybody else was giving all of this stuff away. And I'm thinking, this is what I am wanting to do. But actually, if this is going to be my business, I have to charge for it, because giving stuff away doesn't pay my bills. And it was very much one of those things that, do I launch it now or do I wait? And I had signed up to do the Motivation, Mindset and Money free course that Vicky Chisholm, our new Eastbourne manager, was running. She was offering it free, 5 days. And I don't know what possessed me to sign up for it, because I've done it all before. But I thought, you know what? Yeah, let's get a bit of focus going here. Let's find out why, what and how. And I did that. And I did a follow-up phone call with her the week after it. And I was saying about, you know, Business Buddy and the fact that I was waiting to actually launch it because everybody was giving stuff away. And she went, what's it going to take for you to actually get out of your own way and just get on with it? And I went, well, you know, everybody's giving it away, and if I start charging for it? And she went, yeah, and? So I knew I'd got a national MNC meeting coming up, and I also knew that she was going to be on that call. And although I hadn't said to her, right, okay, I'm going to launch my business this week, I knew that I had to do it. And I went out there and I just went, I've got 2 free discovery sessions to give away. If anybody wants to book me, you know, go ahead, do it. I'd love to work with you. So I got a couple of people that wanted to do these discovery sessions, which was great. But I'd also marketed it out to other networking groups that I'm involved with. And within 24 hours, I'd got my first paying client, which was amazing. It was somebody that I knew. It wasn't somebody from the MNC community. And that was fine. And the morning that I was doing this particular call with her, I was thinking, hang on a minute, what do I know that's going to be of any use to anybody else? But I did, and I could do it, and it was fine, and it was useful to her, and it just proved to me that yes, I am enough. I am more than enough. I can do this. I can do whatever I set my mind to. I just have to get out of my own way. And I think that would be my message. It's get out of your own way, play big, and just do it.
Goodness me, Kate, that's really, really struck so many chords for me. You've actually made me speechless, which is quite an achievement. I'm really touched by the self-belief thing, actually, because I'm very touched by your humanity and humility of sometimes not always believing in yourself, and I relate to that. Yeah, I join with you in that, and I just think, yeah, you and me both. Like, and I know that many people know that they are really good and that they're lovely people and they've got so much to give, but then in business, when it comes to, okay, here's what I do, and can I have money, please? It's a little bit of a different thing.
Yeah.
So what you've said has really re-energized, actually, and re-motivated me to believe more in myself. And I think this is the real value that you do give to people, because we've heard in your story that you've been through insurmountable challenges. And I'm so glad we had a pre-interview because I was effing and jeffing when I heard what you've been through, you know, so that was good to not publish that. But it's funny, wasn't it? And it just helps me to reinforce something that I've always believed in, which is everything that we have experienced in our life, especially the challenges, make us the strong, powerful one that is still standing today, that is still in business, that is still here to say, how can I help you? And that absolutely you are enough. Absolutely, I am enough. We are enough. And to give that message, I think for me, the word that I wrote in my notes that just rises up for you is resilience. Just that ability. And I was going to actually ask you the question, but I didn't want to interrupt you, of how the bleep do you keep going in the face of that level of challenge? But you actually said it. You said it's a gut thing, it's a heart thing, and it's a really deep thing. And then you go to your happy place with your photography. You go to your reflective place with your photography. So you do have tools of self-care, you have tools of self-love, you have your spaces where you go within, or wherever it is, but you re-energize and nourish yourself.
Absolutely. But also, I have my son. He is and always will be my driving force. You know, up until this time last week, he was under 18, you know, and I have that responsibility as a parent to get him from 0 to 18 relatively unscathed. as of last Wednesday, I've achieved that. My responsibility is now over, supposedly. I don't think as a parent your responsibility actually ever ends, but legally it's not my responsibility now what he does. If he does it, it's on his own back. But that was my driving force when I didn't know, when I was diagnosed, whether I would be around for him to get his GCSE results, whether I would be there for his next birthday, whether I would be there for prom. It's all of those things that you just don't know, because life is like that, in that you don't know what's around the next corner. And that's something that really drives me with my photography, because the number of, if you look at Facebook and you look at all the lovely photos that everybody puts up of their family day out, the one person that's generally not in those photos is mum, because mum's behind the camera. Mum's taking the photo because it's really easy to go, no, that's fine, I don't need to be in the photo because I'll take it. I do it all the time. I will never be in a photo if I can possibly avoid it, or unless somebody actually drags me into it and says, no, somebody else can take it. Because we have this awful perception of our own beauty, and we think it matters what anybody else thinks about how we are and what we do and all the rest of it. It doesn't matter a jot. I would rather have 50 photos of me looking like a wreck that I can say, do you know what, I remember that day, or I remember whatever it was with my family, than to be able to struggle to find a photograph of me with my son. And until the day before my husband started his chemo, we didn't have any photos of the three of us together. Not one. We had a photo shoot done the day before he started his chemo. And I look at those photos now and everybody goes, oh, they're wonderful photos. And there's part of me that looks at those photos every time and goes, yeah, that was the start of who knows what. I knew what the outcome was going to be, but I couldn't communicate that. That wasn't my place, because he didn't want to know what the outcome was going to be. He didn't want to know his prognosis. I knew. I've got a medical background. But we had to put across that, yeah, it's going to be fine. But those photos for me are the start of the end of the journey. And so they're not the happy photos that everybody else looks at and goes, oh, they're amazing. You're thinking, yeah. So that drives me to say to people, book a photo shoot, get some photos of you on the beach, playing with the dog, out in the woods, whatever it is that you love to do as a family, get some photos, because, you know, any one of you could be lost at any point. And that's where my passion comes from, to ensure that we capture those moments and we create those memories. And I think at the moment it's become very apparent to people that it's so important for us to be connected with the people that we love, and people that we at the moment can't get to see or get to visit. We have to have something visual to remind us that they're still there. And so, yeah, it said a lot to me over the last few weeks that I want to get photos of families together so that they have always got something that is all of them together, or the groups of people and the people that are important to us. So, yeah, coming out of lockdown for me will be quite a big push, not from a financial, I want your business point of view, but from a, I want to make sure that you have got, as a family or as a group, photos of the people who are important to you, because one day it'll be too late.
Goodness, I'm moved to tears with that.
I'm not trying to make you cry, honest.
No, I have actually been crying. I lost my dad when I was very young, actually, and there's only one photo of us together. I'm being held by him as a baby.
Yeah.
And it's my mum. My mum's holding my brother's hand, and I don't know where that photo is. And I wish to God I had it.
So you need to find that.
I know. Yeah.
You need to find that. You need to get it made digital.
I know.
Which is easy to do, and you need to keep that somewhere safe. But at the same time, you haven't got that photo in front of you, but you know that photo's been taken, and you can describe that photo to me right here, right now. So you've got that in your heart.
That's so lovely. And I mean, you've just given a whole new meaning to photography, and you've helped me and all of us watching to understand your point of view and your perspective, if you'll just enjoy that pun there, that photography pun, about how you like to just take that other view of photography, the nuance, and what your intention really is about having together those memories that are so important, that I may be too embarrassed to be in that photo. I would rather take that photo. That was definitely me in the past as well. And I just really appreciate the heart and the perspective that you do, the reason why you do what you do, the reason why you're a good photographer, the reason why you're a great admin, you're a good business support, you're a good business mentor, coach. And I love that you say, I'll help you do it, or I'll show you how to do it, or I'll just do it for you. But it's lovely the way you're giving that empowerment, you're giving people the choice.
Life is about choices. It's, you know, I did some work on me 2 years ago, 3 years ago now. I did the landmark course up in London. And for me, it's a case of, is it chocolate or vanilla? What's your choice? That's what it comes down to. And if you decide not to do something, that's absolutely fine. There's no story behind it. I've just chosen not to do it. And actually stepping out of that need to give people an explanation as to why you're not going to do it, God, that's hard. Because you want to justify why. Well, I'm not going to do that because, as opposed to choosing not to do it. There's no story behind it. So, yeah.
I'm so excited you've done Landmark. I did Landmark as well. And actually, one of the driving forces behind this, that I'm doing this, is the Landmark teaching, which I think is one of the best ones, is share yourself authentically, and you will enroll people into your possibility, right?
Absolutely.
So I think with business and marketing, whatever service or product I'm giving, I'm offering in this world, that let there be like my reason why I'm doing that. And of course you have given to us such powerful reasons of why you're here and why you're doing what you're doing. So the service that you give comes with the added value and interest of your heart and soul, like your whole everything is in there, and that's so powerful, so valuable.
If it's not authentic, it doesn't happen in my world.
Well, I'm so excited because that's my world too, and I just think to showcase business and to talk business and to network and to do our buying and selling and our trading with authenticity, I think especially now since lockdown, I just think that's going to become a way of
it's essential.
Don't you think? Yeah.
Totally and utterly.
Yeah.
My radar goes off as soon as there's inauthenticity in the room, and it's a case of, okay, how am I going to deal with this? And I find it really, really difficult to be able to go, actually, no. But give me a huge dose of authentic business people, and it's a case of, yeah, I'll collaborate with you any day of the week, because you know where I'm coming from. I can be totally me, and it's a case of, yeah, okay, no BS. That's what it comes down to. No BS.
Absolutely, me too. I'm exactly the same. I would be absolutely, how do you want me? That kind of. And also, have you heard the fantastic joke? There's a Zoom in the room. No, I got it wrong. I always tell jokes wrong. There's an elephant in the Zoom. Have you heard that? Have you heard that? There's an elephant in the Zoom.
There's an elephant in the Zoom.
Don't fight the elephant in the room. So I'm so excited that that we share those qualities. And I just want to thank you, Kate. I want to thank you for your life and for your experiences and for your wisdom and for all of the things you've done. And I'm really, really grateful that this has been able to be shared today. This is now able to be known. This is now a document, and this is really important.
It's been brilliant. I've loved it. I've loved sharing my story. And it's just, life goes on. Grab it with both hands and run.
Well, if there's anyone that can say life goes on and get on with it, it's absolutely you. And I love that you're not fake with that. You're not just like, oh, just get up, rush yourself down, stiff up a little. You're really genuine about that. And anyone that's going through difficulty would do ever so well to have a conversation with you, or just to watch this, or to read one of your things.
Absolutely. I am more than happy to talk to anybody, whether they're going through treatment themselves, whether they've got a loved one that's going through it. I've been there from both sides, and they are two different journeys, two completely different journeys, and everybody's journey is different. And I will never ever take that away from somebody, because I don't know what they're feeling. I know what I felt, and I have an inkling of what they're feeling, and there are things that I will be able to relate to, but it's their journey. And if I can make that journey a little bit easier, then that's great. That's part of my purpose. But there are going to be some people that don't want that help. They don't want that support. They just need to know that somebody else has been there and done it and come out the other side. And that's okay too, because it's their journey. I will be there for them if they want it.
Yeah, and that's the most respectful thing that can ever happen, to just allow a person to choose. And I really love the humility that you've said, that even though you've been there from both sides, you cannot assume what somebody else's experience is. You can never assume what someone else is going through. That's really beautiful. Yeah. And so deeply respectful. And I think that ultimately the soul and the heart that is the being is just here to be loved and respected more than ever before.
Indeed.
And thank you for giving so many wonderful examples of how to do that. I just think you're amazing. It's been a real moving and funny and fun and creative and learning gorgeous experience. Thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting.
I put my red jacket on just to be in the Kate Club. In the Kate Can Do It Club.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you, and see you again soon.
Indeed you will.